Hey guys, welcome back. Tisha here, back with another Love and Marriage Huntsville review. We picked up this episode with Stormi getting ready to turn herself into the slammer because of this so-called stalker lady. I'm calling her so-called because if you listen to some of the things that have been released on the internet, it is being said by that person in her own words that she approached Stormi's business because she wanted to buy $2,000 worth of product for some elderly people that struggled with using the internet. And according to her, people have gone to their business to purchase product rather than having it mailed out. If that's true or not, I don't know, but that's what's going on the internet. I, however, wish that Carlos or production would have reached out to this lady by the name of Black Titanic and actually spoken with her to find out what the true story is, because we're only getting one side of this, and it took up a good portion of the episode just for it to not even be that big of a deal. So she's getting ready to turn herself in, but she's going to make sure that her edges are laid to perfection and that her makeup is done nicely, because she says if she has to do a mugshot, that she's going to make sure that she does it right. You can see that she is struggling. You can tell that she's holding back tears. Some of it, I wonder if this was really forced or if she truly was that worried. I'm not sure, but there were moments where I did feel like there was genuine hurt there. Her hairstylist reminds her that she needs to center herself while she's sitting there saying that she can't believe that, she has to turn herself in when someone was antagonizing her by showing up at her business. Her mother-in-law shows up and she begins to cry even more as she's embraced by Courtney's mom, because she called her mother and her mother wasn't willing to show up for her. Instead, her mother told her basically that that's what you get for being on reality TV. Her mother needs to keep that same energy when she wants some of that reality TV money. I'll be honest with you all, I'm not a fan of Stormi's mom, but we'll talk about that more down below. So she says, who would have thought that a multi-million-dollar business owner is going to jail because someone came to my business and they F with me? And that is a good point if that was all that happened. So Destiny invited Tisha and Trisha to make candles with her. I don't understand what's going on with the Scotts, because we're seeing more of secondary cast members than we are of the main ones. Marceau, Maurice, Kimmy were not in this episode at all. And this was the only scene that we saw with Tisha. They're there to make candles because Destiny is starting her own fragrance line. And as she's saying this, I can't help but say, okay, so you guys really brought her back on the show so we can see her make candles and for her to talk about Moses and Sonny. There is more going on off of the show than there is on the show. She finds a mold that is like zigzagged and it goes into each other, and when it's together it's whole. And she says, she wanted to find molds for her companies that represented her. So, she was feeling broken, and when she fills the candle and puts the top on, it's her putting the pieces back together. So they pick their scents, make their candles, and they catch up on the events that Tisha missed by not being at Stormi's event. Destiny brings up Moses and Sonny and tells them the same thing that she told Nell, and the same thing that we saw her and Sonny go back and forth with before, that Moses kept staring at her, that Sonny kept trying to, show her ring in her face. And it's obvious that Sonny sees her as a threat. I do agree that Sonny does see her as a threat. And then Destiny lets us know that, she noticed that Moses was staring at her most of the night, and that she could get back Moses if she wants him, but she doesn't want him. And we don't want to hear about Moses anymore. Courtney and Stormi return. We find out that Stormi didn't have to work herself up that much because she was in there for all of 15 minutes. She was handcuffed and released shortly after. She says she had a panic attack and she was anxious and she was crying, and someone sat with her, but one of the guards let her keep her phone. I don't understand what kind of jail this is, but obviously it wasn't that serious of a charge because she was quickly released. She says they were nice to her and they were supportive, but she's still bothered that her mother hasn't reached out. She asks Courtney what he thinks, and Courtney is smart enough to know not to talk about Stormi's mom. So he tells her, maybe you should, reach out to her. And she says she has nothing to say, but we know that's not true. He says, just reach out to her and tell her how you feel. We're told that, every important moment in her life, Stormi feels like her mother isn't there. They have other issues that they need to work out. But Stormi is so quick to forgive because of how much she just wants to be with her mom. So we get this scene with Trisha and her sister. Trisha is lying to us in so many ways, and the longer she is on this show, the more lies she is telling us. We see a clip of her sitting down with her children saying, what do you feel? How do you feel about Kent and I getting married when she's still married to their father and when he's already been living there for over a year? So why are you asking anything in regards to Kent at this point? They probably feel like you're already together. It's dumb. So her sister Ebony comes over. It's clear that they aren't that close to me despite living in the same state, because her sister should know all of this. So she tells her sister that, Ken and her have been living together. And her sister is shocked. She says it's been almost a year. Her sister says, I thought, that you were just having a good time and that you were going to get back with Marquez, that you and Kenny were just having, fun together. She admits to her sister that her and Marquez or Quez have been separated for 4 years. The internet says otherwise. And that she didn't tell her siblings out of fear of judgment because they're a more traditional family. We find out that her and her current husband, because that's what he is, have been married for 14 years. So her sister just wants to make sure that she's really done. She asked her a few times, which makes me feel like she knows that her sister was still dealing with that man despite what her sister is saying. She says, are you sure you're really done? And as she's asking her, I said, it's weird that she didn't know this. Her sister said, our kids, our parents were married, for 38 years and they had 6 kids and they stuck by one another. And I get what she's saying, but that's for your parents. Everybody's marriage doesn't always work out that way. That is, of course, the goal. But unfortunately, some people don't have successful marriages. Trisha says they got married for the wrong reasons. One being they had kids. She feels that at this point, they're incompatible. That's the worst thing she had to say about him, when before she made it seem like he did something to her. So I don't quite get what's the actual story. Something about it isn't right. Her sister says, bottom line, I, would love for you all to stay married, but your happiness is what matters. So if this is what you're going to do, this is what you're going to do. We then see Courtney, Martell, Ken, and Chris meet up to bowl. These scenes are so forced because these people would never really hang out this much. And I see Ken as he walks in. If he bends over too much, he might pop those pants. Kenny, you might as well go ahead and give them pants to Trisha, because it looked like he was going to hurt himself with how tight they were. His legs are so muscular at the top that he probably needs to get something with more of a relaxed fit, because it fits his waist, but them legs and that butt looked like it was about to pop through and he was going to hurt himself. The subject of Trish comes up. I don't understand why he's bringing her up when she already spoke to him when they had the scene at the gym when when she was supposedly training him. So why are we getting this conversation again? Trisha was mad because Martell acted like he didn't know her, according to Kenny. Martell says she's cool. I just didn't recognize her. Chris says, where did you meet her at? Martell pauses in a way that always makes you feel like he's being sneaky. He says, she was cool with my brother. Then he asks Ken, how did she say that she knew me? And he was like, she said that she knew you through your brother. And Martell says, I never met her through my brother. She just told me that she knew my brother. What? He met her out. Kenny says, she felt played, that the people would think that they had something going on based on the way that they interacted. And Courtney is listening to this, and Courtney is like the rest of us, feeling like Martell isn't telling the whole story, because he isn't. I don't know what happened with the two of them, but at some point I feel like they mess with each other. Now, if that was when they were teenagers or why the both of them were married, I don't know, but the both of them are hiding something. Ken, to me, seems more bothered by Martell not recognizing Trisha than he does by the fact that Trisha is still married. He says, we talked here and there, but if I ain't do anything with her, then I'm not going to remember her, and I don't remember her. Kenny then lets, us know, and the guys know he's like that too, so he gets it. They dap it up. Then the subject of him, as Martell calls him, being the side dude comes up again. This show really sucks. His goal, he says, is to marry her, but he's not going to keep doing this forever. Martell says, I want to be married too. So Chris says to the baby mama, and Martell looks at him and smiles like, why you say that? Why do you say the baby mama? And once again, Martell has the perfect opportunity to say that he wants to marry Coleslaw, and he doesn't. He says, it's going to take a lot for a woman to accept the fact that he has 5 kids and he has them 7 days on and 7 days off. Courtney's like, unless you marry one of them, and he starts laughing. And I'm just like, really? This is the scene? This is the best we can do? This show is falling flat. There are people that I love watching who review the show that have stopped reviewing it because of how flat it's falling. So apparently every episode is going to talk about the millimeters because Betty has shown up and she wants to discuss them. She is at the house. She's shown up to have this scene, but she couldn't show up for her daughter when her daughter was going to jail. She made excuses for what she said to her daughter. Stormi says that, I need you to care. I need my mother's softness. I need the vulnerability from my mom. And I'm listening to her say this in confessional, and it's just not who her mother is. She tells her, look, Stormi, this isn't the first time that jails happen. Stormi's like, I went when I was 18 and this was a different circumstance. Betty is now saying that certain people in her circle, certain people that she's around have caused this. I didn't understand at first what Betty was talking about, but then I got it. She is blaming the public, saying that, certain members in her area, they want to elevate themselves, and that there are certain people that they sometimes call on to activate and to attack people, and she's using her words. I feel like they misuse what Mel says sometimes, because I don't recall hearing Mel say to do anything against Stormi, but that's just me. I don't know everything because I'm not on the blogs and all those other things like that. If you know more, put it down below. I want her to just go ahead and call Mel out by name, but she's talking in circles. And as she's speaking, I say, okay, so this is another reason why Mel has been going off online. So her daughter is confused and wants her to just say who she's talking about. So she's like, I don't have a problem to say who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Mel. That, she wants Mel to voice that she disagrees with the things that some of the people are doing, that some of her fans are doing and saying in the comment section and doing against Stormi's business. These people on this show and their mamas spend more time worrying about Mel than what they do have going on in their own lives, and it's sad. She's blaming Mel's fans for the things that they have said and done in regards to Stormi's business. But let me tell you something. I've seen some of the antics and it is too much. But all of those people that are saying things and are commenting aren't all Mel fans. People are going to do what they want to do regardless of what Mel says or does not say, because people watch the show and people may not care for certain individuals on the show. I have complained about Stormi's business before she was even on the show, before I realized that she was the woman behind Canvas Beauty, because I had used her products for several years. And one time she did a Black Friday sale, and items that I was supposed to receive, I did not receive, but yet I was charged for the products. I didn't bash her online. I didn't go under her comment section and say anything ridiculous. I handled it professionally. I reached out to the team, sent an email, screenshotted what was going on with my bank, and I got my money back. It's that simple. All this other stuff that people do isn't necessary, but people are going to do what they want to do. Stormi says, basically my mom is trying to do like the I told you so moment. Like she didn't like Mel and she didn't want me hanging around Mel, and she felt like Mel was this person, and now this is her I told you so moment. But there have been times where she didn't show up and I needed her to show up. They agree that they're going to come together and they're going to be stronger. My thoughts about Betty. Betty is jealous. Betty is jealous. And at first I thought it was her daughter, but I think it's of her daughter's success and maybe Mel's success, because you're sitting here and you're telling her that she shouldn't be on the show because people will come after her because she's on the show. And yet here you are, Betty, and you're on the show that you're telling her that she shouldn't be on. And you've done it more than one time, because we've seen you on the show. We've seen you at the reunion. You have been an active participant. So don't claim it when it's convenient and then try to knock it when it's not. She says, I'm sorry. They hug. Stormi is happy that they had this conversation and that now they're on a different path than they've ever been before. We got to stop forcing relationships, in my opinion, that bring us pain. I understand that Stormi loves her mother, but if her mother is going to be as callous as she seems sometimes, and if it's going to cause the reaction that it does in Stormi, maybe what Stormi needs to begin to do is to not come to her mother with certain expectations, because her mother has made it abundantly clear her feelings on the matter. But you all let me know your thoughts down below. Until next time.